Hello everyone, welcome to the Evangelist Nick Garrett channel. I was following a conversation yesterday on social media about Halloween. It went on all day and it fascinated me. A Christian was expressing uncertainty about celebrating the holiday and what that would do for the consistency of a message they try to convey in their household. Others were cynical about that view. Oh, it's fine, you're overreacting. Others totally oppose Halloween on its face. So I thought it would be informative and helpful to get to the bottom of the holiday, its origins, and what, if any, mandates are there on a Christian regarding Halloween. First, the background. Today in America, dressing up, trick-or-treating, bobbing for apples, neighborhood parties, that one house that gives out raisins or apples, and that one house who leaves the whole bowl of candy with a note that says, "Please just take one." 68.5% of Americans plan on celebrating Halloween. As they do, they will spend about $30 on a costume, $27 on candy, and $25 on decorations, leading to almost $8 billion of spending for the holiday season. It sounds like everyone participates in Halloween. Get this though. Only 32% of almost 10,000 families polled said they were taking their children trick-or-treating. Why? Let's look below the surface. For Christians living today in post-Christian America, there's been a tightening up of what we exactly believe and a scrutinizing of each cultural holiday. The Bible tells us to be in the world, but not of the world. That line is really different for everyone, though. Before we throw Halloween out as evil or a celebration of the devil, we should go back in time, as far as we can, to learn what it was all about. Modern historians have looked to the ancient Celtic calendar, for example. It was separated into a light half and a dark half. On Halloween, their Samhain was the beginning of the dark half. On that night, October 31st, they celebrated Sow and harvest festivals. Because a harvest had literal life and death implications, there were also spiritual components to the festival. They believed or portrayed that a veil between life and death could be pierced, and the living and dead could travel between realms during that time. Halloween actually goes back thousands of years, though. It was most common for all cultures to set aside a day or several days to celebrate and remember their dead. While the season of life, spring, and of death, fall, in agricultural societies can all speak of similar ritual, the most modern iteration can be traced to the period around the time of the fall of the Roman Empire, the late 6th and early 7th century. At this time, there was only a small fractured Western Roman Catholic Church to speak of. It had been destroyed by Goths and pagan barbarian tribes. Christian power had flowed east under great leaders like Justinian and Theodora, yet slowly and slowly the Roman Catholic Church that we might recognize glimpses of today slowly and steadily began her climb from the ashes. As she did, pagan customs intermixed almost assuredly as a natural evolution of cultural assimilation. Modern historians operating under the presupposition of an all-powerful church all the time has made the Christian motive to co-opt pagan holidays and repurpose them purposeful, yet this almost assuredly naturally happened with time. One such pagan holiday that was eventually adopted by Christianized thought was Lemuria, celebrated in May. On this holiday, the larvae, the ghosts of the dead, would come up and haunt people. To stop them, pagans would pour milk on the graves or leave little cakes. In 609 AD, records show that the church co-opted Lemuria and turned it into All Saints or All Hallows Day, a day to honor holy dead Christians. Eventually, All Hallows Day was moved to November 1st with the intention of redirecting the pagan celebration of Samhain that took place the day before, October 31st. In time, the 31st became All Hallows Evening or Hallows Eve, or eventually Halloween. They even added another holiday on November 2nd called All Souls Day to honor the average everyday Christians that had died. As for trick-or-treating, during the Middle Ages, these holidays became important days for prayer. Particularly the souls would be prayed out of purgatory, the limbo between heaven and hell according to Catholic doctrine. According to the church, if enough prayers were offered, a soul could fly out of purgatory and up into heaven. So remember at Lemuria, back in pagan Rome, and they would pour milk on the grave and leave cakes? Well, during medieval times, children would go door to door and ask for cakes or sweets in return for praying loved ones out of purgatory. There's more. October 31st is also celebrated as Reformation Day, as part of the Triduum All-Hallow-Tide in remembrance of the Reformation. Legend says it's the day Luther nailed his 95 Theses to the door at the church in Wittenberg, but primary sources confirm it's actually the day he sent his work to Albert of Brandenburg, the Archbishop of Mainz, the act that gave start to the Protestant Reformation, where a group of people led by Martin Luther and his doctrinal ideas aimed to remove the corruption from the church. Recently, the Catholic Church also has begun to recognize this event. It's not hard to see the era of globalization beginning with the centuries of the explorers opening international shipping and trade routes and settlers moving to new lands around the globe, that each culture's version of this holiday took root. Witches, goblins, demons, and spirits have given way to the capitalistic version, with popular children's characters taking the role of desired costumes, and candy has taken the place of cakes. The culture also celebrates its heritage with an entertainment industry that creates and sells movies, games, decorations, music, and all things goth. There is an overwhelming market for these items, and money is made to the tune of billions. What about its appropriateness for the modern Christian? A culture of death held up against the only spiritual movement that truly overcame it with the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. As culture has changed and objective Christian morality has been abandoned for subjective moral relativism, Christians today perhaps look at Halloween with a bit more scrutiny. It appears that at all stages in the advance of Western society, the church tried to make a superstitious holiday of death and spirits freely roaming into one of prayer and reflection on those Christians who had gone before. There can be no question that capitalism, brands, and product placement won that battle. However, is there a way today to offer children a way to glorify God with the holiday itself? Is it okay to participate? To celebrate Halloween is certainly not a sin. At the same time, if a family were to give it up in honor of God, it would be fine for that family, but wouldn't make it a sin for those that continue to celebrate it. These are the questions that each family must navigate in the post-Christian society in which we find ourselves. At least knowing that the church turned pagan customs into days of prayer, that idolatrous rituals were turned into Christian ones, and movements like the Reformation are given memory on that very same day, can speak to the rich tradition and heritage, and the influence that Christianity had on the development of thought, spirituality, culture, and life. I look forward to talking to you next time. Have a good one. Bye.